Hello, Professor. Hello, team. This is the class digital transformation, and this is research assignment one for the digital trends which are transforming the industry. We would be discussing five major trends as displayed. As part of agenda, we have five different trends. First is digital twin, the Internet of Things, 3D printing, artificial intelligence, and blockchain. So a general format for this presentation would be, first we would be discussing the technology, the basic concept. Since there are multiple variants of the concept, I would be just discussing a very basic of the concept where I would try to explain it via a diagram. Then we would discuss practical applications by multiple companies, which are in many cases industry leading. And finally, focusing on the advantages and the risks associated with that technology. So apart from transformation, the technologies pose significant risk on the ongoing business as well. That also we would pose. The first one we are discussing is the digital twin. As professor is more interested in digital twin, I tried a different approach to digital twin. Is depicted in the concept here that physical assets have been tested, created for centuries now. However, they had certain limitations, such as the variety of testing environment. What do we mean by variety of testing environment? That means physical asset can be damaged once, and then either you need to create another asset or repair that same faulty asset. However, with the digital twin concept, a virtual environment is created where the physical asset has been replicated digitally that can have a simulated testing of millions of times with very less cost associated with it. So in a practical environment, just creating a million copies of the same physical asset would take a longer time, plus a significant cost would be associated with that. However, if the same thing is taken into consideration for digital transformation, it doesn't take too much of the cost. That's the base of the argument. And then there is a real-time data operation as well, which is sometimes reading the physical movement of the product and simulating it in the digital twin environment, or rather digital environment. Let's say if an asset is performing well, let's say if an engine is performing well, we need to test the extreme for that engine, or we need to test a very let's say temperature related extreme, where the temperature is very, very high, where it may reach the melting point of that particular metal. On the contrary, the temperature might go very, very cold in some areas where the fuel might freeze. So in both the scenarios, how the concept like would behave, that's what we would focus here. There are many integrated technologies with digital twin. Here we are trying some of them. Let's say a high fidelity modeling with simulation development, or design certification method, or life prediction and extension method. Why there are multiple models involved? Because the application of those models are different. As I explained, that sometimes we are just targeting extreme temperatures. Sometimes we are targeting the extreme pressure bearing for that particular physical asset. Sometimes if we are talking about space technology, sometimes we are just talking about the hit what it would get, or the cracks what the material would get if it is hit by different objects. So it seems like a very simple operation. However, when we are talking about space, we have practically zero to no control, like zero control over the physical asset, and it is almost at autonomous. That is where this digital twin might help. So this is actually the application at NASA. The same way, Siemens has been using efficient use of production floor for the digital twin concept, where they have digital assembly and even robotic control for the the same production flows. Sometimes they have the virtual product schema or digital twin already fed into the machines, and the machines replicate the same by assembling the pieces in the same order. So here a significant change is that in product life cycle, there was too much human intervention and now there is too less human intervention, which is increasing efficiency. Jumping to the advantage and disadvantages or risks for digital twin is, first of all, better R&D, considering that first I discussed that there can be a million cases tested. So testing a million case in a physical world might take too much time, while in a virtual world it might take hours or sometimes less. A greater efficiency is discussed that from physical simulation, there are certain scenarios which are impossible to replicate. Let's say, for example, extreme temperatures. If we have to replicate more than 1,000 degrees or more than 5,000 degrees, it would take significant efforts. Plus, there would be significant risks also. While in the virtual environment, it is easily replicable. Then product end of life is actually increased with significantly with the digital twin concept. While the risk is that many a times it is very difficult to identify and controlled impacting variables and parameters. So, for example, if we have to add a parameter in the testing cycle, it may change the whole nature of the testing altogether. So that technically that might reset what we have done so far. Second is considerable amount of time and expertise are required for the testing model development. That is where the whole authenticity of the testing lies. If there is any mistake, it's gone for toss. Secondly, we would quickly jump on to Internet of Things. So Internet of Things, as Professor mentioned in one sentence, it's all about sensors. So that means any appliance you talk about, any wearable technology, human wearable technology you talk about, everything is controlled by sensors. The best example is fire alarm. So usually fire alarms have been in the market for so long, and usually they are called offline sensors because it's just sensing the fire alarm, fire or smoke, and it is just notifying the local area, let's say house. So in the house or in the building area, it would just trigger the alarm. However, if you talk about the Internet of Things, the same sensor would also trigger a mobile message to the parties. It would send the notification to the fire department as well if the fire is, let's say, to some degree, harmful. So that's the basic example that ultimately Internet of Things is helping us connect these sensors with the real-time world. That is where the application lies. Jumping on that, Ubiquiti is the company which is providing the algorithms for connected cars. So connected cars is a concept where if a car is involved in any impact, then it would just send out messages to friends and families that with the location and actually GPS tracking, so that whatever movement is with the car, it can be easily tracked. Same way, Google Home has total IoT solutions that actually connect the home sensors to the Google Cloud and to the connected devices, which provide seamless service. For example, with Google Cloud and other facilitators, people can turn off the heat for their houses when they arrive. It's similar to the remote trigger of the car, that from remote trigger the car starts. Similar concept they are replicating on appliances also. Let's say if we have to heat the oven when we arrive at our home, Google can do it for us before 15 minutes. It'll start for us on a certain temperature. That can really save time for people and provide greater efficiency. Internet of Things has many advantages as we discussed. So first is connected world. Everything is connected to everything, and that provides traceability and obviously the flexibility also. Second is the autonomous nature. So for example, if I automate that when I leave work, let's say I have 15 minutes time to work from home, then when I leave work, my my Google devices would know. It would have certain triggers which I can automate, that start the heating for my place, start the oven, start the cooling, play some music, play the light, start the lights, whatever. So all those things can be automated easily without any human intervention. Third thing is there is the revolutionary logistics impact here, that the sensors could send real-time GPS locations for each of the logistics truck or containers or any other logistics device, so that the companies don't need to run around for the updates. The updates are readily available whenever they. However, the risks are too much actually. So first is the security breach. As we know that one security breach might mean that everything is available to the hackers. So that means if they get the access of the Google account, if we say, then they get everything. So that is a very big risk we are talking about. Second is if there is any device failure. For example, we are remotely triggering the microwave, and if there is any device failure, that might cause fire, that might cause a bigger issue for the owner. So that's where we need to have a little bit of care as well. Third is 3D printing. In 3D printing, actually, there are a couple of companies we would discuss. As we already have discussed, 3D printing is a simple concept where we can print any complex mechanism with simple printing printing cycles. So there is a company called Open Bionics, which is printing prosthetic limbs and body parts according to the user requirements. We know that every human body is a bit different, even if the categories are male and female, but every body has different mechanism or minor adjustments. That's what we call. So creating complex body parts and movements accurately, that is where 3D printing is really helpful. Previously, there were molds created and parts printed, or parts created rather. Now with the complexity, the 3D model is created and printed physically for greater flexibility. Moving on, the best application is for US military, where they print parts of firearm, and it is actually providing a greater turnaround time or greater replenishment time for the equipment and replacement parts. Second is the easy nature of creation. So that means if we have to replace any parts for a machine gun, certain metal has to be procured and certain molds have to be created just to print the part. However, now with the flexibility, they can print the parts only required. So that means on-the-go creation is also possible, and they can only print number of parts what they want without any costly dies or any other material. Third thing is the lightweight nature for the metal parts. So that means they don't need the metal parts now. With the plastic and other materials, they can print the parts with the same efficiency and reduced weight. Coming to the advantages of 3D printing, as we said, that easy creation of complex parts, strong and lightweight parts, minimal waste and cost-effective map. That is the USP for 3D printing. However, the risks involved here are that 3D printing materials could be harmful for breathing and cause skin irritation. So currently, a new or different material invention is in progress, which is causing less trouble for human skin. Then, while printing, the 3D printer consumes almost 50 to 100 times more electricity. That is where the energy consumption might be causing a trouble for the environment. Second is the reliance on plastic is still not gone. For 3D printing specifically, there are most materials which are dependent on plastic itself, which is also causing air pollution also. Finally, there are loopholes in controlling laws such as gun and drug control. There are 3D printed guns in the market, also 3D printed drugs in the market, which are still not law abiding. That means there are no laws to control on that. So the governments across the world are working towards that. Jumping on to artificial intelligence and machine learning. Now, here we would just talk about big players, let's say Google. So Google has been showcasing many of their machine learning applications such as Google Assistant and Google Camera, which would just scan any product barcode and would display all those details of the product, all the ingredients, all those details which are available in on the web. It directly categorizes them and shows it to the user. Now, Google Photos also has smart suggestions, which is face recognition and geotagging. With geotagging and face recognition, it categorizes the picture together and shows it to the user in multiple ways. It also creates autonomous effects for just to keep user interest in on the application. Same way Gmail. Gmail has automatic reply suggestions based on the previous email content. So that means if it's a recruiter email, then Google by default knows that it's a recruitment email or it's just a general communication email. And both the suggestions are significantly different, which user can directly control. Same way Netflix. Netflix also has an artificial intelligence engine that's called an AI engine and neural network, which records user actions and improvises the suggestion basically. Netflix, as we know, that has the most intuitive suggestions, all different per user, because Netflix has different user categories, and according to the category and user history, the machine learning algorithm generates different suggestions for different users, so that everyone gets the feeling of personalization and some kind of different suggestion everybody would get. So the machine learning concept for Netflix is actually used for content promotion, price modeling, delivery, and marketing everywhere, because that has been proven most effective, where the users feel that they are in control. The third one is Uber. So Uber has machine learning implemented, and it has multiple neural networks created, which keeps the driver data tracking plus the user data tracking, so that Uber always knows where their customers are and where their drivers are, so that they can predict the exact time to reach the customer. That is the first part, and second is to reach to the destination also. So to calculate the trip time, the Uber needs to know the exact driver location, exact passenger location, and exact destination. Plus, real-time tracking is also enabled, where the machine learning engine records each real-time location and accommodates traffic also on the roads, and proposes a time. And that it's all possible offline, very easy. But the same thing, if you have to do in real time, that is too much of effort. That is where the machine learning is coming in handy. Finally, Uber Eats. Uber Eats also considers the food preparation time and historical data from that particular restaurant, on that particular driver, so that they can predict the exact lead time for the food delivery. That has been really interesting initiative by Uber. Finally, the advantages, that a future possibility of super AI, that is basically super artificial intelligence, which can surpass human intelligence. It's still a concept, but having a very promising possibility. The second is a reduction in human errors and all-time availability without fail. And third thing is there is no bias when making decisions. Since we are talking about a machine and algorithm, it doesn't have any kind of a bias. The risk, as we know, it comes with a cost. It has very high cost of implementing machine learning. Plus, the algorithms are pretty costly to maintain also. Secondly, it doesn't have ethics. So that means it would treat everybody the same way, even if that guy is a criminal or not. And also there is no creativity. So it cannot make any picture, or it cannot draw. The application might differ, but that's what the limitation is. Third thing is that it might put many human jobs at risk, and that's a very real possibility we're considering here. Finally, we'll talk about blockchain. So blockchain is a concept where each and every transaction is validated by another node in the chain, and that is where the transaction pieces are very, very much secure, so that no transaction can breach, because it would be directly breaking the chain and it would stop the transaction. That's the easiest explanation for the blockchain. There are multiple dependencies involved. With nowadays, blockchain has become very, very much complex. Another one is attributes for cryptocurrency are high intrinsic value and no physical form, and the total supply. So that means the total supply is limited. Whoever is creating the cryptocurrency has to decide the total supply. Thus, there is no physical form, and intrinsic value, which is trustworthy, secure, and fast. Coming to the blockchain and blockchain platform, it is actually a finance revolution where it provides the customer with multi-phased cloud platform to have their transactions in place, and there is no issue reported with any single transaction till date with Black Diamond. Black Diamond also provides like safe, speedy, and secure platform for blockchain. Actually, the target for Black Diamond is to replace physical currency with the digital currency. Coming to the advantages, that no human intervention is required while validating any transaction. It is completely automated via the virtual blockchain. The cost is obviously significantly reduced because it is trying to eliminate third-party validation altogether. It is secure and private, efficient, secure, private, and efficient transactions. They improved transparency compared to other mediums. That is notable. Finally, in terms of risks, the technology costs associated with the transactions and crypto mining or blockchains is significantly high, and also power consuming. The possibility of data theft and loss is too much here. It's still not super secure. That's what we can say. So any system which is digital can be hacked. Same way cryptocurrency can also be hacked. Finally, there is no global policy or regulation in place. Every country and region has different policies. For example, it is legal to trade cryptocurrency in the US. However, back in my home country, India, trading of cryptocurrency is illegal. So with same technology, same globe, but different treatment according to the geographers. And that's it from my side. I am open for questions if professor or any student wants to ask. And finally, I would thank professor to give me this opportunity. My contact details are mentioned as below. And with that, I would conclude my presentation. Thank you.